Hey everyone, this is Erica Lucas, your host and founding member of VEST, an organization connecting women across industries, regions, and career levels so that together we can expedite the pipeline of more women in positions of power and influence. Welcome to another episode of the Vester podcast, where we explore the invisible barriers holding women back in the workplace and share stories of women building power collectively.
The creator economy is relatively new, and this conversation around mental health and boundaries is very important. And the way that you decide to do that for yourself, I think you make your own rules when it comes to that. If you wanted to create all week and wanted to not engage on the weekend or maybe just post one story, then that's fine. And I think that's something that I'm learning to navigate as well. My boundaries with social media and respecting the time that I need for myself to live my life, like my real life. And I think that's really important, and more conversations should be had around that topic.
More than 50 million people now consider themselves creators, fostering the creator economy, which is now valued at more than $100 billion. The surge has been especially pronounced over the last year, with a growing cohort of women pursuing opportunities in the creator economy. But what are those opportunities for women? What are some of the challenges women face in the creator economy, particularly as it relates to mental health? Join us as we talk to Suanny Garcia, author of The New Latina, 100 Millennials Shaping Our World, and editor-in-chief at Me Too. For Suanny's full bio and show notes, go to www.vester.co/podcast. This recording was part of a more intimate coaching session with VEST members and has been repurposed to accommodate this episode. Tell us more about your book.
Yeah, so my book is called The New Latina, 100 Millennials Shaping Our World. And so what really made me decide to write it was I was always reading books and coffee table books and featuring lots of women in creative fields or women who had, entrepreneurial accomplishments. And I said, well, I don't think there's any book that really kind of details this for Latinas, for our demographic. And I know that there are so many amazing Latinas doing so many great things. But for some reason, all I kept reading about was Latinas in history and like the same women, I kept reading about like the same women, which is amazing because that's kind of like those women kind of set the groundwork for where we are now. But I wanted to highlight millennial women doing amazing things now. So that's a mission and passion behind the book. And also because when I was growing up, I didn't have like these images of women. I thought that like to be successful, you had to be a movie star or a singer. And I was like, okay, I don't have any of those talents. So I didn't have these images. So representation is something that's really important to me. And that is, that's why I created this book. The sort of like the way that I went about creating it was, like I said, during the pandemic. I was sort of looking for avenues and because I didn't have any work at the time. And so I said, okay, I've always wanted to write a book. I didn't think it would be this soon in my life, but I said, I always wanted to write a book. Gabby Bernstein is one of my favorite authors or internet creators. And she had a digital course, and her course was about how to write her first best-selling book. And at the time I applied for the scholarship because it was pretty expensive and I just didn't have that money to spare. And I applied for the scholarship. I got the scholarship to take the digital course, and basically the course is like really informative. It takes you through how you should pitch to a publisher, how you should find out who your target audience is for your book, how you should market your book. So it takes you through all of that. But the first exercise in the first module basically has you kind of visualizing yourself as this author and visualizing your book, just touching millions of people. And it's a practice and visualization which stuck it stuck to me, and it's something that I believe in. So it was something that it was really powerful for me. Then a week later, I met my publisher. I just met my publisher out and about, and I was having dinner at a restaurant. We were with a big group of people. He happened to be one of those people. We got to talking about our careers. He was telling me how he's published all these different books, and just basically about his company. And I said, well, I have this book idea. I would like to sort of pitch it to you, like informally. I would like to talk to you about it. And it helped that I already kind of had a connection with him, that I had already talked to him about my career and my passions before I had pitched that, which we can talk about later. But yeah, and then he said, okay, I like your idea. Send me a formal proposal. I sent him the formal proposal. He liked it. He's like, okay, let's do it. Then I started working on all the research for the book.
So tell us about the process. What was the hardest thing you had to do besides putting yourself out there?
The hardest thing I had to do was I have patience, I would say, because the process was, for me, it was so enjoyable. I enjoyed everything about it. Like I had women that I already knew I wanted to feature, and then the research, like researching and calling for other women and calling for more pitches from the nation, the community, and just like writing it, designing it, all of that was very enjoyable. I wouldn't say that any of that was something that I struggled with, but just having patience. I wanted the book to be created way before, I wanted the book to be finished before I'd say like a couple months before I actually finished it. And then the process takes a little bit because I'm featuring a lot of different women, a lot of different stories. So I have to make sure that it's all like factual and correct. So there's like that process of like making sure that they see it, and all the facts are correct, making sure that all the images are credited appropriately, making sure that the publicist or the middle person sees it and approves it. So there's a lot that goes into it. So I'd say that having patience to get like this baby out into the world was my biggest struggle.
What about your biggest fear? Did you ever have fear of doing it in the first place, or fear of, who's going to read it? And then how did you overcome that fear?
I don't think that I had any fears. I think that so I'm a very spiritual person, and the project was just I was very sure that this was what I was meant to do at the time, and that things would work out, and that whoever needed to be, I would even say like, whoever needs to be in this book, please like let them be in this book, and let that come across just very seamlessly, because I understood this project as something so much more beyond me. And I'm so grateful and happy that I was able to create it. I was able to write this book. But I saw it as something that generations of women would read, and generations of women would get so much from it. So for me, because of that perspective and that point of view, I didn't really have a lot of fears about the book, or about in the entire process of creating it.
What about putting yourself out there as an author, right? You've been writing all this time, and you've been in the PR world, but what about putting yourself as a creator out there? Was there any doubts ever?
Yeah, so what helped me was that I had started a YouTube channel a couple years before I pitched this book and I wrote this book. So I had already been sort of on camera, starting on YouTube and creating videos, creating content for digital. And because I was working in public relations, I had already been on TV for several clients that we needed, like sort of have TV appearances. And so I had already been media trained. I would media train our clients. And so this was a world that was familiar for me, which really helped me. And then putting myself out there on social media, it was more about like growing. And now, okay, like I need to figure out how to talk about this book without like talking about it too much, because then people get tired of the same content, but also like letting people know who I am and what I do and what I'm passionate about. and managing that, managing a full-time job, and managing, anything that else that needs to go, it's all, it's a lot to work with.
So this is a perfect segue because again, our topic is the creator economy and the opportunities that exist for women. You are both a creator and author, and through your role at Me Too, you also work with a lot of creators and brands leveraging creators. What can you tell us? What do you see as the main opportunities for women?
In terms of social media?
In terms of social media, or even, we make sure to say, because I think that a lot of us, if we're not into the creator economy, or if we're not really in tune with it, we may say, well, that's just influencer marketing. That's just kids using YouTube for gaming. And we really don't understand that, no, it really is an industry. It blew so much over the pandemic, and it's continuing. I mean, there's a lot of money flowing into the creator
Yes.
economy. You have platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Now they're all creating tools for creators to monetize a lot of the content that they're creating. And I just think that for a lot of our members who may not be as aware of the industry, I just want to make sure that we cover what it
Yeah.
is and what opportunities exist.
Yeah, and there's so many. Before, when I worked in public relations, I worked for a beauty agency, and I was on the other side of it. So I was paying creators to feature our product. So I knew like how much money went into those things. So I worked with a pretty big beauty brand, and one time I paid a creator who had about, I don't remember, but it was like 200,000 followers, and we paid her $8,000 for one post to feature the one product, and that was on Instagram. It wasn't even like TikTok was just starting back then, and so I learned how much money was actually in it, which is actually why I started my YouTube channel, and I was like, okay, I need to like tap into this. And then during the pandemic, I was at home a lot, like we all were, and I was cooking a lot, and so I would I would make low carb recipes. I would share it on TikTok, and my TikTok. So I'll give you some background. I started YouTube about I would say like 4 years ago. I have, let's see, I think I have 4,000, about 4,000 followers on YouTube, and I can already monetize my channel through AdSense. I started TikTok last year, and I have 50,000 followers on TikTok. So TikTok is like if you're gonna start with a platform, I would recommend TikTok because it just moves a lot faster than other platforms, and you really want to tap into it now. Um, I mean, now a lot of authors are on it. They're sharing their stories, and it's such an amazing platform because it's not something, you don't have to have this picture perfect life that you might have see on Instagram or on YouTube, or this aesthetic, or whatever. It's, you can literally just be yourself, talk to the camera, and connect with people. And TikTok is like the most organic platform. And I'd say like the less you try on there, the better it is for you. So if you're someone who is like, I don't want to pretend that I have this life that I don't have. I don't want to feel like I need to have an aesthetic. I just want to talk and connect with people. I highly recommend tapping into TikTok. You'll be able to grow your audience much faster on there and just connect, and then be able to tap into the creator economy. You'll get paid for your views. You'll get brand deals. I've already gotten a few brand deals for like my food content. And these are things that like, and you can tell me to stop if if I'm like ranting, but so for example, I always tell my friend, she works in healthcare industry, and she has a really great salary, a really great position, and I tell her, I'm like, you should get on TikTok. She has like this dog that she loves. I'm like, you're always taking pictures of Belle. Belle is a dog's name. You're always taking pictures of Belle. Um, and animal content, people want to see it, people love it, and you don't even have to show your face. You could get sponsorships from toy companies or animal companies, and it's like you can share to the world what you'll already do. So when I started cooking on TikTok, I was like, okay, I'm already cooking every day, and I'm already trying to find low carb alternatives to the food that I already eat. So let me just make a 15-second video about it. And it's basically just that. It's basically just putting yourself out there in that way, but not thinking about it too much. And just sometimes when you first start, you got to push out a lot of content and see what works. When I first started YouTube, I pushed out a lot of different content. I did makeup, I did clothing. And the one that worked the best was what I do in a day as a public relations manager. And that one just kind of blew up because there was a niche there. There was like a space there that wasn't filled. And I remember I got a lot of comments on that video saying that they didn't have any videos like that on they had never seen a lot of videos on public relations on YouTube. And then that helped me grow my audience for communications and for writing this book. And so my YouTube audience is all about that. And then my TikTok is more about like food and recipes.
How would you coach somebody to know which platform? I mean, TikTok is growing and it's relatively new, so it's a great platform. But some would argue, well, my audience is not there, right? And I do agree. It's not only, a lot of people make the mistake of thinking it's only Gen Z or Gen A on TikTok, but no, there's millennials, there's Gen X and all of that. But how would you coach somebody? What platform should they use?
To be honest, I would say get on TikTok. I think that people think that it's just Gen Z or that it's a younger audience, but there's all different types of audiences on TikTok. I mean, I've seen like grandma TikTok go viral, have like this. I follow a bunch of different grandmas because I like that content. And they have millions and millions of followers. And it's just about like connecting. Authors are on there. Like even my publisher told me to get on TikTok. He's like, it's growing. All the authors are on there. If you have a product to sell, that's where you want to be. If you have, I don't know what, if you just want to sell yourself as a creator, that's also where you want to be. And in YouTube, and then now Instagram is a video forward platform, which means that you can which means that they're going to promote your reels more than they will your photos. So you can post your TikToks on Instagram and grow your account relatively more quickly than before. And then YouTube is like my number one because there's just a lot of opportunities there for income. There's sponsorships, and then there's Google AdSense. So Google AdSense will pay you depending on your views per video. So yeah, I would say the first thing, I would say try it on TikTok. If it doesn't work out, then you can move on to a different platform. But I promise you that there's all kinds of demographics on TikTok.
Can you tell us a little bit more, Suanny, about how you work with brands through Me Too or even prior to that, how they can benefit from engaging with creators?
Yeah, so the beauty brand that I worked with, they just had a really strong like influencer marketing leg, and basically it helps in so many ways. So the first way is obviously sales and promoting your product. The second way is just getting to your target audience, so like getting to the person that you want to sell this product to. You could work with influencers who have that same demographic and who can speak to that product as well, and who would already use that product. As a brand, so right now what's working best is organic content. So brands will pay an influencer to say, oh my God, I love this mascara on TikTok. And then they'll repurpose that. If it's in the contract and they're able to use that content to use it as an ad, you don't have to spend ad dollars to create content from like your in-house team or the agency that you outsource. You can pay that money to the influencer, get the rights to that video, and then use that video as an ad. And then run it and then see how that works. And typically it will work better than any sort of like more stiff content that you'll like reproduce in-house.
Absolutely. Emma wants to know if you have any experience or examples with monetizing LinkedIn.
I don't. I would say I know that there's opportunity there, but I'm really bad at using that resource.
Yeah, I will say, Emma, what I've seen how people are monetizing LinkedIn, it's better for B2B. So if you're doing direct sales or B2B business, or if you're, again, working on your personal brand to get promoted, hire, whatever. But also for creators, what I've seen them do is that they're doing workshops. So they do workshops or courses, and then they either offer them for free to get them to subscribe and then do an upsell later on, or they charge for the workshop that they're doing on LinkedIn.
And so are they doing the workshop on LinkedIn? Is that what you've seen? Okay.
Yeah, they have LinkedIn. So the tools that LinkedIn provides is more for educational content, workshop type related. You can also go live on there, but they're also coming out with tools that, again, will allow you to charge for people who actually RSVP to your event.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. There's another question, Suanny. How do you suggest going about monetizing if you're just starting out? Do you proactively seek out those opportunities, or do you build your audience first, Suanny?
Yeah, so you can build, and going back to that, I think I've also seen creators create courses on Teachable and sell those courses. If you could host like a 30-minute workshop as a lead to your courses, as a lead to whatever you're selling, you could also go back to that and use that, use Teachable as a platform and use LinkedIn to kind of guide people there. Just something that I thought of. But in terms of creating your audience, I would say you can monetize even if you're a micro influencer. It just depends on your engagement. So it depends on if you're a micro. So my friend just started his podcast, right? And he has about 5,000 followers now, but he has really high engagement. So even when he'll say, I'm hosting an event, like people will go. When he says, I'm selling something, or when he tells people, I really like this, people will respond to him because they trust him. So it's about building trust and building engagement with your audience more than the numbers. And then once you have that and you have the analytics behind it, you can go out and reach out to the brands that you think are a fit and say, you know, this is my engagement. This is, you know, my followers trust me because of this and that. And you can reach out and get paid opportunities, even if it's at, you know, let's say $200 for a post or $200 for a video. That's still an amazing opportunity starting out.
Okay, I have a private message, so I'm not going to say who this is from, but she asks, can you ask her how she gets past the need to always look perfect on social media posts? That's my biggest thing. I never look good enough, or tools to look better. Thank you.
That's a really good question. And it's something that I don't know if we ever get past that, but I think, speaking of my experience, like at first I was super open to kind of looking however I looked. And then later on, as I started editing more videos on YouTube and noticing little things, I would notice little things about myself that I would have otherwise not noticed if I wasn't on camera. And I just have to like continuously check myself and say, just because you're seeing this on camera, like this is how people naturally are. This is your hairline. Like this is normal. Just because we see these images of like perfectly photoshopped women, it doesn't mean that you have to look like that. Something that really helps me is following women whose content is about that, is about like not looking perfect. So they'll show like all of the imperfections and they'll say, you know, this is who I am, this is what's normal. And I will make it a point to follow more women who are focused on that. And it empowers me to do it as well, or it empowers me to not feel bad, and to not always use filters when I'm on Instagram stories, and to kind of like show that rawness. And then TikTok is also a place where a lot of people show how they are naturally. There's no filtering, there's none of that. And so TikTok, just like the environment and the I don't know. I guess the environment on that platform is to show your raw life, and people connect with that more than they would anything that's, you know, too done up or too much makeup or anything like that. But yeah, it's something that's definitely difficult to navigate, and it's something that even now, like, because of the pandemic, I've gained weight, and I spoke on YouTube. I said I've been having trouble coming on camera, and you know, even if I've been filming my videos and I don't like the way I look, so I haven't been posting them. And that's something that's very real about creating content online. And it's something that, you have to be very thoughtful and very nice to yourself when you're navigating that. You have to say, everybody goes through this. If you don't want to push out content, let's say if you want to take a break, a 2-week break, a month break, whatever it is you need, take that break and just regroup. And just make sure that you're taking care of yourself and your mindset and your mental health, before, and that you're strong, that when you're ready to push out content, that you're going to be okay no matter what people say.
Yeah, I couldn't
I don't
agree.
know if that answered the question.
No, I think it's great, Suanny. And I would just say that just authenticity. And I think there's actually creators that are creating content about being imperfect, or making fun of Instagram, like perfect pictures and stuff like that. I tend to follow those as well. There is another question, and this is actually a great segue to my next question, which is a hot take, right, of this creator economy, and that is a mental toll that it sometimes takes, not just, again, on the creators, but on the people on platforms. And actually, I'm just going to use Sheena to lead us to this segue. She says, do you experience much negativity on social media, both when you look perfect and imperfect? And if so, how do you handle it?
To be honest, on YouTube and Instagram, I haven't experienced much negativity. There's been some comments that are highlighting like what I'm wearing, or like the other day somebody said about someone said something about what I was wearing and that they didn't want to see it. And I was like, okay, if you don't want to see it, then don't watch the video. I just commented back, like, don't watch it. Like, I encourage you to stop, watching the videos. And but yeah, on TikTok, on Instagram and YouTube, I haven't seen that. On TikTok, I get some negativity. It's never really about me or the way that I look, because I share a lot of recipes, but it is but if I'm like doing like a low carb recipe, people get really triggered with food recipes. I've found they want to tell you what's healthy and what's not, and they just, they get triggered, so they'll say it in the comments. I typically don't engage a lot with that on TikTok, although sometimes I will if it's something that I find that would be informative. Or you could also use that to your advantage and post a video and respond in a video, and people are like going to back you up, and people are going to be supportive of you. But I'd say for the most part, you get a lot of support. Where I am right now, I've gotten more support than I have negativity, and that really does inspire me to keep sharing. You'll get a lot more, people clapping for you and wanting to support you than you do people saying negative things. And people are always going to say negative things no matter what you do or where you are. So that's definitely something that that we should all work to overcome, because it can't stop you from going for what you want to go for. And a lot of other people who are less qualified are doing it. And so you have to, figure it out as well.
Period. I also, you know what? Sometimes when I did my TED Talk, one of my friends told me, it's okay for you to block trolls. Just block them. You don't have to respond to them. You don't have to, and you can just block them so you never see them,
Yeah.
or go with them again, especially on Twitter. And I couldn't agree more. The other thing about perfection that I would just say, or go back to, and I made a post about this on Twitter. I'm more active on Twitter just because I'm witty like that. But I think that often we have this illusion, and I think it's been, societal norms have instilled this on women, that we have to wait until everything's perfect, or that we have to look a certain way or act a certain way. And that has limited us, or put limiting beliefs in our mind to not start or not do. And so I often talk about, like, me, right? I started a podcast, which does very well. Actually, both podcasts do very well. English is my second language. You guys have heard me before. I make up words all the time that don't exist in the English dictionary. I mispronounce things. And I just haven't allowed it to stop me, and it is what it is. And if people are going to relate to me, it's just something that people get used to. and I've learned, I wasn't always this way, but I've learned to just accept myself, love myself, and then block the trolls. And like, hey, if I'm not for you, I get it. If you're still following, then you're still a fan, even though you don't like me. But I think you develop that mentality over time. And I think that what you said, Suanny, following those type of people that also reinforce, I think one of the best things that we can do for each other as women is to help us remove each other's limiting beliefs, right? Or limitations that whether we've imposed on ourselves or others have imposed on us. So I love this. Jennifer says, yes, I block trolls constantly. Good for you, Jennifer. There's another 2 questions. Sheena, she says, that we already did that. Stephanie says, do you ever have to step away for periods of time from social media or your phone sometimes, or screen time numbers? Screen time numbers can be daunting. Or does it feel like you have to stay engaged because of this is part of your career? Like, can you ever turn it off? Great question.
Yeah, I think it's up to you. I mean, I turn it off. For me, just having giving myself what it is that I need, and my alone time and my reading time and my time for reflection off screens. I work on, like, I'm on a screen all day, every day, is the most important thing. Creating is not my full-time job. So I have that luxury of like stepping away. And even if you are a full-time creator, I think you could also do that. Like once you have, if you're not just creating, but if you have maybe a product to sell or classes or stuff like that, then you can step away. But I think in general, like if you need to step away from social media, feel free to do so. I mean, you make the rules for your platform. You make the rules about how you engage with people. Let's say I follow a creator who will post lots of content Monday to Friday, and then on Saturday and Sunday she's not as active. On Sunday she's not active at all, and I understand that, and I can go back to her on Monday and say and be like, okay, like she was off on Saturday because it was the weekend. So I think we're just all trying to figure this out, because the creator economy is relatively new, and this conversation around mental health and boundaries is very important. And the way that you decide to do that for yourself, I think you make your own rules when it comes to that. If you wanted to create all week and wanted to not engage on the weekend, or maybe just post one story, then that's fine. And I think that's something that I'm learning to navigate as well. My boundaries with social media, and respecting the time that I need for myself to live my life, like my real life. And I think that's really important, and more conversations should be had around that topic.
Well, that was going to be my next question. How do you balance it all? But I think you just answered it beautifully. What are the best tools this is Gabby's question, because she's always looking for tools. What are the best tools that you've come across or that you use for any of your platforms?
Tools,
like video tools, or picture editing tools, or copywriting tools.
Okay, so for video editing, I use Filmora. It's the most basic video editing tool ever. And when I first started editing my YouTube videos, I didn't want to learn how to use Final Cut Pro because I was really overwhelmed by it. So I said, okay, I need to find a solution to this. I need to find something that's more simple so that I can continue, like I can move forward with this. And I found Filmora, which is very, very user-friendly. I promise anyone can get on it and edit videos. If I could do it, anyone can do it. It's very user-friendly. In terms of TikTok, I edit videos on the app. It's very easy to do that. As I'd say, like go on the app and start playing around with posting videos. And there's a lot of creators who also teach you how to make certain videos that you want to make, but start off like with the basics, so you don't get overwhelmed by it. And if you get overwhelmed, then you're going to stop. You're not going to want to do it anymore. So just start off with the basics. And so, yeah, so on TikTok, I use the app. For YouTube, I use Filmora. What else do I use? I know there's like this website where you can, so Google Trends is actually something that's really helpful. And it's something that I use for me too, to check out what's trending at the moment, because most of those stories will do well. Or if there's like the Super Bowl, right? Super Bowl recipes were trending on TikTok. So just having keeping an eye out for trending topics is also helpful when you're creating content. I use Brand Watch because I'll look at a trending topic or a keyword, and I'll go on Brand Watch and I'll see what the sentiment is towards that, and that'll help me decide whether or not we should cover it on our platform or not. I know that there's this other tool that tells you. So this tool, I'll find it for you and I'll email it to you. But it's a website, and you type in a password, let's say public relations or entrepreneurship, and it'll tell you what questions users are asking about that topic. So then when you create your content related to your field or your industry, you can answer that question, and you know that there's a gap there, so you can fill that with the information that you have. And then in terms of like SEO, it'll help drive users back to your website or to your social media, to whatever it is. So that tool is also really helpful.
That's great. Thank you for that. And then Sophia says, yes, very cool. Please do share that tool once you remember.
I will.
This is a great question as well. And please, all the members, it's kind of interactive. You know the drill. If you're new, we don't wait until the end to ask questions. We've been asking all questions throughout. So this is the time. We have 10 minutes with Suanny, so let's make the best of them. One more question from Leah. She says, what advice do you have for identifying your personal brand and or rebranding yourself? Great question.
I think my priority is to be authentic. And to be honest, sometimes when I'm on Instagram, and I have just a different relationship with all of the different social media platforms. And I think with Instagram is the platform that I have the most trouble with being authentic or showing my raw self. And I think it's because Instagram has created that culture of everything needing to be aesthetically pleasing and perfect and picture perfect. And I think on TikTok, I have no issue with that because I know that that's not what the audience is expecting. So my advice is to figure out the 3 things that you want to talk about and that you want to focus on with your social media platform. Like, are you going to do public relations content mixed with beauty content and mixed with beauty and fashion? What are you going to focus on with your content? I'd say stick to 2 to 3 things at most. So people know like what to get when they go to your platform. Like when they come to me, you'll know that you're going to get videos about my book. You're going to get videos about public relations, writing, communications. You're going to get some of me and my lifestyle in Miami, which is also important to share because that's who I am. And you don't want to just, when you look at the creators that you like them because you connect with them on different levels. If it's like motherhood, or if it's they don't always push out their products or their brands or what it is that they're promoting. They also share their life and what makes them human and all of the things that they enjoy. And that's why you connect with people. So going back to that, like I said, people with me, when you go to my social platforms, you'll get book, communications, writing, PR, all of that, everything in that realm. And then you'll also get my life in Miami, and then you'll also get low carb recipes, keto recipes and things like that. So those are my 3, I guess you would say, brand pillars. I have a really difficult time, and I'll be honest, I have a difficult time thinking of myself as a brand. But I know that that's how people see me. So I'm still thinking about how I want to present that. So I don't have a very direct answer because I too am struggling with that part of everything.
I love it. It's so funny. Leah just commented. She's the one that asked this question. Got it. So cats, naps, and champagne. Yes, Leah.
Exactly.
It'll go viral and we'll be there for you. All right. So I also wanted to talk to the lawyers in the room, the more traditional, lawyers, CPAs, whatever. I've seen a lot of great content being created for those type of roles. And sometimes my friends that are lawyers will say, well, what the hell am I going to do? How am I going to use that? There's a woman lawyer that has like women lawyers. She created this immense platform where she gives advice for lawyering to women. And out of that, it's a pipeline. for clients to come in. So just think outside the box of how you, and also if you don't want to do it, don't. We're not here to convince you to be a creator or to be on social media at all if you don't want to, but we are here to just brainstorm ways in which you can leverage this economy if you will. So I definitely want to share that. Judy says, love the vulnerability, Suanny.
Thank you.
Okay, any last questions from our members? There's one from Joan. Of course, she's our cybersecurity expert. So she goes, due to private data collection concerns, TikTok is definitely a no-go for the cybersecurity fields. Do you have any suggestions for Twitter? You already addressed LinkedIn.
Yes, I understand that. I don't have suggestions for Twitter, but I would say if that's not an option, if TikTok is not an option, not something that you want to engage with that platform, go on Instagram and create reels. Because like I said, Instagram is now pushing reels way faster than you would they would a photo. And so if you post a reel and it resonates, you'll get a lot of viewership to your profile. In terms of Twitter, I'm not active on Twitter, or I'm not as active on Twitter or LinkedIn. So actually, this is a good point. I like video content, and that's something that resonates with me the most, and that's something that I enjoy consuming the most. So it's something that I push out the most. I enjoy video content. If you don't enjoy video content, then you would move to Twitter or LinkedIn and a different way to push out your message. So I think about that and use a platform that you most enjoy using right now. That's most natural to you, and that's where you'll find the most success.
Yeah. Joan, I definitely recommend for B2B sales LinkedIn. For Twitter, the one thing that I've noticed that works most for the creators that are on Twitter are threads. Some people hate them, some people love them, but it picks up on the algorithm on Twitter, and you have to be a really good writer, right, to be on Twitter, to be able to condense your thoughts and make them as simple as possible. But threads trend very well on Twitter. That's all I would say on that. And controversial stuff trends well on Twitter. Suanny, I have a question for you, because I know that two of our members actually, their goal for 2022 or intentions for 2022 is to write more, become a thought leader in their field and write more pieces on that. What advice would you have for first-time writers or people that are just starting out to write, whether it's blogs, thought pieces, or opinion pieces like we're doing with Sheena? What would be your advice?
Advice on how to block time to write, or advice on where to publish your writing?
Maybe both.
Okay. So blocking out time, I'm a morning writer. So I will write in the morning and I will edit the next day, or I'll edit at night. So just figure out what works best for you in terms of like writing during your day. If you have to wake up an hour earlier, or if you have to block out your lunchtime to be able to write that. I know that we all have a lot going on, so we have to be very intentional about blocking off that time to be able to write, especially if you have a full-time job or if you're a full-time creator, and then the next advice I would give is I honestly, I wouldn't spend a lot of time writing or creating a website blog, because it's going to be very difficult to get people to go from social media to your blog to be able to read that content. So I would use LinkedIn if you already have an audience there, to create posts and write posts on there, and Instagram as well, like Instagram captions, however you want to format that style of writing, depending on what kind of writing you want to do, or what the goal is for that. But I think I've seen a lot of success with creators using LinkedIn as their blog, or publishing different content on there. You could also submit to editors as a guest. You can submit your article as a guest post to editor. You can say, this is what this is my expertise. I would love to write for your audience. These are a couple of pitches. These are some stories that I would love to write for you, that I think could be a great fit. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Great. I want to close with a question for you. We always close with some version of this question. But before I do that, I want to remind our members, make sure that you're RSVPing for future sessions on the app. The best way to get the most out of Vest is for you to connect with other members. So today, if you recall, every week we've been doing question of the week. Today, it's a challenge to meet with one member per month. So make sure that you're connecting with another member. Could be in your same industry, it could be in a different industry, but that is the challenge today. We'll post it on the app later. And then the other thing, I would say we welcome a lot of new members this month. We always feature new members joining. Jill, I see you. Welcome, Jill. Jill is our newest member. So we'll be featuring, we always feature them on the last newsletter of the month. So just be sure that you're checking that as well. And then welcome them, say hi to them. The power is in the network, but we as Vest can't do that for you. You have to make the relationships, you have to connect with one another. We can always just provide the means. And so in-person events coming up, new sessions coming up, make sure that you're RSVPing for those. And our last question, what advice would you give to women, whether they're writing a book or wanting to get into the creator economy or just this in general?
My advice is to enjoy it, enjoy the work. So if you're trying to push out a video and it's not working, you're not having fun with it, don't publish it. Take a step back and say, what is something that I would enjoy and what is something that I would like to see, and then do it that way, because that's always going to be, that's how the energy is going to be felt on the other side of the screen and anybody that's watching you. And also just enjoy what you're building and what you're creating. The process should be enjoyable as well. It should be work, be something that you're excited about and you're excited to create. So make sure that you find that whatever that is for you, wherever you want to create, whatever makes you happiest and makes you feel like you're getting to where you need to go and getting to people. So enjoy, and everything about life, enjoy it. Try to enjoy it as much as possible.
If you enjoyed this episode, leave us a review and subscribe to our podcast for future episodes. You can also join the conversation by becoming a Vest member. Go to www.vester.co and apply today.